Yeah. Oh man, oh my goodness, what a week it has been. First of all, I want to say my name is Tony Mendoza, aka DozaDirection, Mr. Imperfection, and you are listening to or watching Potential Isn't Proven, the podcast. And before we get started, the first thing I want to say is prayers to Ukraine. And hey, yo, DV, what are we sipping on today, bro?
Well, first off, we want the smoke to clear out of Ukraine, but there seems to be a country that wants all the smoke, and believe me, if we intervene, you're gonna get all the smoke.
Okay.
But as for you, Tony, for you, I'm giving you all the smoke. Straight out of Las Vegas, Nevada, you're drinking on Smokewagon.
Oh.
Uncut, unfiltered, straight bourbon whiskey, 57.3 alcohol. This is batch 34. Back to you.
Man, DV, you got to take it easy on me, bro. I am not your enemy. I am not your enemy. But anyway, let me check this out real quick. I like that color. I like how this Smokewagon looks. Let me take a little, well, actually, before I take a sip, let's listen to the sponsorship. What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for listening to Potential Isn't Proven, the podcast. There's 3 ways you can definitely help this channel grow. And the first way is absolutely free. All you got to do is like and subscribe to my YouTube page and follow everything there is under DozaDirection. It's absolutely free and it helps us out a ton. So please go like and subscribe. The second way is joining my Patreon page. Under DozaDirection, you could be a part of for as little as $2 a month. Anything there is behind the scenes footage, being a part of polls to pick my next topic on the podcast, and all there is. So join the La Familia. And third and final way you can sponsor this incredible podcast is by joining this little section of the sponsor video. Have your business or your organization in this little spot. Just email me at dozadirection@gmail.com. Have a great day. Let's go, Tony. Back to you.
War is a continuation of politics by other means.
Yes, the purpose of war is to serve a political end, but the true nature of war is to serve itself.
I'm very impressed. In other words, the sailor most likely to win the war is the one most willing to part company with the politicians and ignore everything except the destruction of the enemy. You'd agree with that?
No, I just think that in the nuclear world, true enemy can't be destroyed.
Attention on deck. Von Clausewitz will now tell us exactly who the real enemy is. Von?
In my humble opinion, in the nuclear world, the true enemy is war itself.
Oh, man. Bomb drop on that one. Yo, I'm telling you right now, I had other topics picked out for this week and the following week. And just what happens on Thursday, the day after I release my podcast, what the fuck? Putin, you gotta stop shooting. That is some bull-ish, man. I'm not happy about it, bro. And I gotta let you know, we gotta assess the situation. I'm wearing my blue and my yellow. Just so you guys know, the Ukraine flag is blue and yellow. Blue representing calmness and yellow representing joyfulness. And man, so think of it like this, man. 400,000 people have been displaced from their homes and trying to go into different countries just to get away from the violence, right? That by itself is crazy. We have thousands of Ukrainians going in and fighting for their right of freedom. That is freaking incredible. That shows you how much they are trying to be free, 100% free people, and they're not okay with Putin coming in trying to take away their land. And I think something that's really interesting about this war that's going on right now This is Tuesday, this is March 1st that I'm recording this. And, there's been talks between Ukraine and Russia, and they haven't been able to agree. And we can only hope that the fighting stops. And what's already seems crazy about this whole situation right now is that it's kind of all televised. It is through technology, we're finally able to see every single aspect. And since also Putin is going into these major cities, you have hundreds of videos from their iPhones, from all these different sources, which has never been seen before. And when we think about previous wars, there weren't as clear videos. There weren't videos that were just timely as of right now. So someone could have done something last night. We see it the next morning. And it's crazy and scary how much you can see from our phone about what's going on in Ukraine right now. And this all has to do with the fucking guy who probably wears a size 6 shoe. Damn, man. Putin, stop shooting, man. Vladimir Putin looks like the type of guy that owns a wiener dog, and he looks like he probably is walking down Central Park and just sitting in a bench in the corner of Central Park, just feeding the birds. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, he looks like such a square. Vladimir Putin looks like he has doctor's handwriting, yo. Actually, what's even scarier? Putin looks like the type of doctor that does rectal exams, or the type of doctor that you don't ever want to see while you're getting a rectal exam, right? The guy that puts on, and Mr. Putin's going to come in. Dr. Putin's coming in. Boom, and puts the glove on the hand. That would be the scariest fucking guy. Fuck that. I'm not happy about it. And besides, I can't talk too much about this subject anyway, because that's not what the conversation is today. Yo, when I tell you I went through a rabbit hole this past week, since the last podcast, I have been going in a complete rabbit hole.
I know you're gonna dig this.
When we talk about, I like to get in the mode of everything. I like to get in the groove of things. So in the front of my mind has been what's been going on in Ukraine. I have been watching movies that have been getting me in that mindset. When it's like Halloween time, and in Halloween time, you're always watching Halloween movies, whether it's Halloween, Friday the 13th, you name it, a bunch of stuff, Hocus Pocus. Even in Christmas time, you're watching the Christmas movies, you're getting in the Christmas spirit, you're even listening to Christmas music. Well, when I lived here in Nashville, or I still live here in Nashville, and when there's signs of tornadoes or tornado warnings, I always put on a tornado movie just to get in the zone, because I think it's kind of crazy when I can see the lightning, and it just puts me in the zone of that moment. Well, since we have started in this topic, and since the world is now watching what's happening in Ukraine, I have been diving deep into nothing but kind of like atomic bomb movies. I've been looking up everything, you name it. I've been looking up shelters. I've been looking up things like end of the world movies. So it kind of got me thinking, right? What are some of the latest movies I've watched that had atomic bombs? Oh gosh. Well, we just heard one. We heard one right now. Oh my goodness, that sound effect's long. We just heard one right now, and the quote from earlier today was from Crimson Tide, where Denzel Washington is speaking to the commander of the submarine about how he does not agree that, nuclear war, that's the number one enemy, is nuclear war. Because no one wants to see a nuclear war, because everyone will fucking die from a nuclear war. So Crimson Tide was one that I've been watching this weekend. Another one was Sum of All Fears with Morgan Freeman. Y'all got to watch these movies. It gets you in the mindset, and especially Crimson Tide, because it is about going to war with Russia. It's a dope movie. But I also started spiraling into all these other movies that had to do with like end of the war. And
I know you're gonna dig this.
So if you are a fan of watching movies, end of the world movies particularly, we definitely got to talk about Greenfield. Oh my goodness. I watched Greenfield earlier last year, or late last year, I should say. And Greenfield was 100% the most scariest end of the war movie I've seen, because it is just comets are coming down. I hate comets. That's my least favorite kind of like end of the world movie, is comets, because that shit can really happen. And that freaks me out. Speaking of which, another great end of the world movie is Deep Impact. And I believe Morgan Freeman's in that one too. But Deep Impact freaks me out because when I was a little kid and I saw Deep Impact, the whole point of it is a humongous comet that comes into the earth and lands and takes out and wipes out, a lot of humanity. And oh my goodness, ever since that one scene where you have the lady, the daughter and the dad standing out in the beach where they're just waiting for the tidal wave to hit them. I couldn't stand near a beach when I was a little kid for such a long time because of that scene. Oh my gosh, I kept thinking that a big comet was going to come and just take me out with my dad. That was something I could never deal. But yes, so you have Greenfield, you have Deep Impact. Another one that I saw, I'm telling you, it's been a couple of days, people. I've been watching these movies, getting in this damn frame of mind. So that's why I'm making this podcast today. It was going to be something completely different until freaking, we just start thinking about wars and stuff. It's hella scary. But we got to talk about The Knowing and Independence Day. Both of those movies. The Knowing, that is with Nicolas Cage. And it is probably the most underrated, like, end of the world movie that has to do with aliens. And it is one of those movies that has super dark tone and super, I love how it ends because everyone, I'm not going to spoil the movie for y'all. You guys got to watch The Knowing. And the last one has to do with Independence Day. I was actually going to use a quote for the beginning of this podcast from Independence Day. But the thing about Independence Day is everyone watches it. It's a great end of the world movie with aliens, but I guess the world never ends. But it's one of those movies that's my all-time favorite, my mom's favorite movie as well. And what I'm trying to say to you guys is whenever there's something scary going on, whenever there's something that I'm not sure about, I always like to go back to movies so I can kind of get that gauge. Now, that has me on this topic now. Let's talk about, are we really ready for the end of the world? Could you imagine? It always makes me want to start freaking vibing out to that sound. But are we really ready for the end of the world? I'm not ready for the end of the world, but I mean, let's think of it like this. If the end of the world were to come, right? We're going to obviously think this is the 21st century. So we're talking about cyber attacks. So we're talking all of our phones would be damaged. No more phones would be working. We're talking about crazy hydrogen bombs. I just got the bomb pushing finger right now. So if you keep hearing bombs, it's just because I got the thing ready to roll right now. But we're talking about bombs, and I'm trying to wonder, as the scariest thing about watching these end of the world movies is how people are notified, that moment of being notified that the world is coming to an end or there's going to be a natural disaster. And that freaking scares me. I always think about this alert.
We interrupt this program. This is a national emergency. Important instructions will follow.
Oh man, I hate that sound. That's the scariest sound. And when you're driving your car and you're listening to the radio and that when that sound comes on, my ears perk up. I'm like, yo, is this finally the moment? Is this finally the moment? I didn't see anything on my phone. I think also another thing is that you would get a lot of phone notifications. My camera over here keeps on dying. I need to figure out how to get this camera to always work. Let's get it, baby. All right. So one thing I would definitely have differently is like your phones would always turn off, right? Your phones might turn off at the end of the world. So how are you going to reach people that you care about? How are you going to know where to go? Well, I live in Nashville. My family lives in San Antonio, Texas. So if the end of the world really did come, I would be so sad to spend it by myself or just not around people that I haven't known my whole life. So I think about that. But also, we're going a little too deep into this. So let's talk about the past, right? So another thing I was watching on Monday this week is I started researching the 50s. And I realized something. In Las Vegas, Nevada, there are homes that you can buy with fallout shelters. Real life houses that you can buy because they used to do in the 40s, they had test runs out in Nevada in the middle of nowhere with hydrogen bombs. And the hydrogen bombs in the 40s was such a real thing thanks to Japan and all these other countries coming up with nuclear devices. You knew I was going to hit that. Do not even try to act like you didn't know I was going to hit that button. But honestly, though, in Las Vegas, there is so many homes you can buy today that has fallout shelters. And it had me kind of wondering, will that be if nothing clears up over there in near Russia and Ukraine, will that be something that we do today? Would we start investing in ways to have fallout shelters? I mean, we can look up on YouTube right now that there are a bunch of end of the world people that are preparing for it. Now, there's so many different types of preparations for the end of the world. It could be a grid. It could be a bomb. It could be scary freaking scientific like viruses. I mean, practically that's what happened in 2020. And when I watch these shows and I watch these preparers, I'm always thinking in the back of my head, bro, how the hell do you have money to invest in having a freaking underground world underneath your house? That is so crazy to me. But as time goes on, we might realize that may be a good investment. And, here's another question that I have for the viewers out there. I mean, what do you own today? What do you really own today that is worth value? So what do I mean by that? I obviously mean if you have any type of things other than your credit card, other than cash, what do you got in your house right now? You know what I mean? I'm talking about precious metals like silver or gold. I'm talking about items like even coins. I could see if it's the end of the world that coins may go back into currency because paper money means nothing. You may actually need the nickel. You may actually need all those copper. I also think about bottle caps and shoot. I think even whiskey, even bourbon that I got in my hand right now would be actually more valuable then, or if there ever is one of those days. And I was researching how many bombs it actually takes for like a Mad Max Book of Eli scenario to happen. You knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. Anyways, how many bombs would it take to really destroy humanity and have to restart everything? And it's the scariest number ever. 6. 6 bombs. Hydrogen bombs, nuclear bombs, only 6 will take us back to dinosaur time. That is the most scariest thing. And you know what? There's over like 7,000 or 10,000 bombs. That is the scariest thing. It only takes 6, 3 from one side, 3 from the other side. And if the other side is acting crazy, they could drop 10 all over wherever country. And, it's game over. Yo, I'm telling you right now, I'm not saying that I'm preparing for none of this because I ain't got the money to prepare for any of this shit anyway. Shit, if there's going to be a bomb, I mean, I'm not, what am I going to do? I ain't going to do nothing for it. And I'm not worried about Russia here. I shouldn't say Russia. I don't want to bash Russia. That's another thing. I'm going to say this right now. Yes, Putin needs to stop shooting. And I'm not going to say that all of Russia is bad. I think, and that's another thing I learned about when I was kind of researching the 50s, is that there was a bunch of propaganda back in, well, it was the Soviet times. And when our parents were growing up, there was a bunch of stuff about Russian spies. And that's still a thing today, right? When we think of the Russians, we're kind of scared. But in reality, and this is, Ukraine really showed me this. I haven't been to that side of the country or that side of the world, and there's a bunch of people out there that are just normal you and me folks. Like, not everyone in Russia wants to destroy America. That's not true. That's because fucking the government is trying to change and trying to create propaganda to them to hate the U.S. Not everyone hates the U.S. or the West, matter of fact. So when I was looking into the 50s and I really started realizing that, you know, both sides are trying to make each side look terrible, when in reality, it's just the fucking government of Russia that needs to chill the fuck out. It's not right. Putin, you got to stop shooting. Like, seriously. I got all these buns, man. These buns are fun today, yo. But all right, so now here's one of my other questions that I got. Where the heck would you go? Where would you go if we knew that the end of the world was coming? Would you go with your family? Would you go to a area? Like, if it was up to me, right? Obviously, I would be split into two. The first thing is, would I go with my family? Absolutely. I would love I would love to be with my family in that moment. But also, thinking proactively, what are some areas in the United States that we could go to where you have a higher probability of not getting any kind of bomb on you? Honestly, I think one area of the United States where you can actually go right now and you have pretty low chances of getting hurt is Montana. Because number one, it is super rural right now. Another reason is that not everyone's infiltrated Montana because of the mountain area and the coldness of it. I would actually have my family drive out to Montana and we just start a new life there. And if there are bombs all over the United States, I would think San Antonio would be one of the first places where it'd get bombed at. I would obviously Washington, D.C., obviously places that have a high military force. And I think I would get as far away from any military base ever. Now, let's just say it's like a throw of the government scenario, right? Where would you go in the, overthrown of government? I'll tell you right now, if we're going to Mad Max Book of Eli, somehow I was able to survive a great attack. I'm getting at least 20 or 30 people and we are taking over Outdoor World. You know what I'm talking about, right? Those big ass Bass Pro Shops that have everything you could possibly think of, from deer jerky to like having ATVs to, I'm surprised there isn't freaking gas in a Outdoor World, yo. But seriously, the first thing I would do is I'd get 20 people and we would bum rush and take over an Outdoor World and just make sure that all the exits and entrances are consolidated to just one, and then just have guns ready to go at any time. And you just take over that area because there is so much stuff in an Outdoor World that you can utilize for the end of day scenarios. I know y'all are wondering, like, what the hell, man? Why are you thinking about this, bro? My mind goes a million miles an hour. Obviously, if I make a podcast and a YouTube video, I'm already crazy, fam. So you ain't got to say anything. But yeah, that's where I would go. Where would you go? Also, let me know what you got. Yeah, let me know what you got inside your house. You got some gold in your house? Let me know. Send me the Addy. Don't do that, because I might think about it. But anyways, another place that I would think about going would be Alaska. But I think Alaska has a pretty big military presence there. So I don't know. I think it's amazing that Ukrainians are able to stand up for what they believe in and fight for their country. I think that's amazing. I'm wearing a blue and yellow shirt right now because I think that's how amazing the Ukrainian people are. And the president that is leading the pack is doing an amazing job. And like I said, we're gonna end the pod kind of early today. And I just wanted to say, prayers out to Ukraine. Prayers out that both sides are able to meet somewhere and it stops the shooting. Putin's got to stop the shooting. And, I was going to have another little bun here and I was going to have can't we all just get along? That's all I want, man. I don't want to have to do another random ass video next week about bombs Got you again. I don't want to have another video about this. I don't want to have another podcast about it. But it wouldn't have been right if I didn't do this video, do this podcast. Potential is improving about this scenario. Yes, it's not doing anything to prove our potential, but I just felt like I had to get this off my chest because it has been in my brain since last podcast on Thursday, and things haven't quieted down yet, but I hope it does. But, you know, blessings to mainly Ukraine. Make sure that you're able to stay tough. You know, I think the whole West is with y'all. And, you know, I hope that next week we have something a little bit more lighthearted. I hope this wasn't too crazy. I wanted this to be lighthearted as well. So, like I said, like and subscribe on my YouTube page at DozaDirection. If you're interested in me taking a sip of this awesome Smokewagon where it tastes really nice and fruity and dark fruits and everything like that, you got to go to my YouTube page to see my thoughts on the Smokewagon. And guys, keep on pushing it. We finally got Apple Podcasts. We're finally getting some serious traction on this podcast. And thank you, the viewers and the listeners that are out there right now. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. Continue to send me messages. Continue to do things for me that are helping me grow as a podcaster and as a content creator. Blessings to you guys. Prayers for Ukraine. And we are out of here. Subscribe, baby. I'm gone. Hit the bomb button one more time.
I know you're gonna dig this.